Oh, yes, we are talking about getting fit and living your best you. And protein serves all sorts of important purposes in our body, and that is exactly why many people are focusing on making sure they get enough. Here to help us do just that is fitness trainer Laila Albernaz. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's talk protein. Why is it so important for our body?
Yeah, great question. So protein isn't just important for Olympic athletes or bodybuilders or people in the gym. It does help us grow and repair muscle, but it's also really important for almost all aspects of bodily function. So things like skin, hair, and nail growth, blood, organs.
Okay,
it's
so
going to be
all the things.
All of the things.
Okay,
protein.
you've convinced me that now. So I do have a question, because recently I went to my doctor and she said, oh, if you're in perimenopause, which I mean, you need a lot more protein. How much protein do we need in a day, and does it kind of fluctuate in our different stages of life?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the CDC, as a minimum, recommends 0.36 grams per pound of body weight. That being said, so that's going to be about 54 grams for an 150-pound person.
Okay, thanks for doing the math for me.
We generally want to do more than just meet our minimums. We want to optimize where we can. So for anybody who is training, anybody who's athletic or who does exercise, we need more than that. So that's going to be about 0.6 to 0.9 grams per pound of body weight. That being said, it's not always practical to weigh our protein.
Okay, that's fine, but you say a good rule of thumb is like size of your hand.
Exactly. So that palm size portion at our meals, and that palm sizes vary with the size of the individual as well as protein needs.
I have a big hand, so that's a lot. It's good news since I need 54 grams at the minimum. All right, let's get through some of the things you've brought here today. So are all these good sources of protein?
Great question. So some of these are going to be a combined protein and starch or a combined fat and protein. So things like our whey protein is just protein, or our tuna, whereas other sources like peanut butter and nuts, those are really more of a fat source that pack a little bit of a protein punch as well.
I really love nuts. Okay.
So those wouldn't be the main source at a meal, but they would be great additions to get a little bit extra protein in there. Exactly.
Okay. Let's talk about some other proteins other than these, these fine sources of food. You got like some meats here now. What are this?
Yeah, so we have some chicken breast, our lean ground beef, our salmon, our eggs. So we often think about animal sources first, but things like our tofu and our tempeh, as well as pulses on this side, so our lentils, legumes, peas, and then quinoa. That's a tri-quinoa blend, so it has a few different varieties in there.
Does quinoa really have enough, like a lot of protein?
We'd want to combine protein sources. So for vegans and vegetarians out there, ensuring that we get a variety of different foods that contain protein is going to be huge. So some tofu and tempeh and other soy-based products, but then also our edamame, different sources. So combining some rice and beans is a great option. That is tempeh.
What is tempeh?
Tempeh is just like tofu. It's just a slightly different variation of a soy-based protein.
So it's soy. Okay.
It is soy.
All right, gotcha. Okay, glad we figured that out. And you said broccoli is a protein. I didn't think I realized that broccoli was a protein.
So almost all foods have some protein, which is why it's truly hard to, especially in developed countries, if we're generally getting in enough energy and enough calories throughout the day, it's hard to be deficient in protein or truly deficient, and we would notice. But broccoli, while it's not a protein source, it does have higher protein than a lot of other veggies out there.
So what we want is most protein as possible, but mixing it up. So now you've put all the things you've taught us to use here in our meals. So we've got breakfast, lunch, and dinner. First, let's talk about breakfast. What have we got here?
Yeah, so we actually have 2 scrambled eggs with cottage cheese. So we have about half a cup cottage cheese in there, which is going to add a ton of protein to the meal.
Okay, and eggs already has protein.
Yes, so this meal, especially with that English muffin, that's another 5-6 grams. This is about 25 to 30 grams of protein in a breakfast that doesn't include meat. So if we don't eat meat.
Wow, okay, so that's like almost half my protein here. And then say we have lunch here. This looks delicious. What is this?
Yeah, so that's going to be a tofu noodle stir fry, and that's a higher protein noodle option. If we like those, I'd say include them. It's a great chance to kind of, usually those are chickpea protein or pea protein in those noodles. But if you're pairing a starch, just a regular pasta or a whole grain pasta with a protein, you're probably getting enough protein there as well.
Okay, good. And then this dinner here, this is a nice piece of salmon. I mean, is that about what we should be having at dinner?
So yeah, that's going to depend again. And all of this is for educational purposes. To find out exactly how much protein we need, it would be really great to talk to a dietitian. ProClub is a great team of dietitians, but generally we want to be getting about a fillet of salmon or about that palm-sized portion. If we're vegan or veggie, we could throw some beans into the salad, maybe some more quinoa in there. And then something else too is that 0.36 grams or that minimum, we do want to be higher than that, so close to a gram per pound of body weight. That being said, for most people,
that makes it so much easier.
Yeah, and it can be lower than that.
Wait, a gram per pound?
Well, it's up to 0.9 is going to be kind of that higher limit. So 0.6 to 0.9 grams per pound. But generally, again, if we're thinking about what's about a gram per pound and then a little bit lower than that, and the easiest way to do that is just to prioritize protein at our meals and get that palm-sized portion.
And incorporate it into things like snacks too, which I think is so important. Before I let you go, is there a certain time of day when our body processes protein a little bit better than others?
That's a great question. Really, no. There isn't clear evidence on that. We do want to make sure we're spreading out our protein throughout the day. So getting about 25 grams in each time we get protein in is going to help us stimulate muscle protein synthesis. So spreading that out across different meals throughout the day and using our snacks as an opportunity to get some extra
protein. To really get
some
in there. All right. What happens really quickly if you don't eat enough?
Well, again, like we said, it can affect everything. First thing would be muscle loss and strength loss, but then from there it can have some really huge effects on like hair, skin, and nails, so brittle skin, hair, and then it's just going to not allow our body to
work as it should.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you,
so much
Laila.
for having
Learned
me.
so much.
The New Day Northwest Kitchen is brought to you by Safeway.